There we go. There we go. Good evening, Warriors, and welcome in to another edition of the R&R Sports Report. I'm your host, Randy Isbell. With me, as always, Mr. Robert Hagan. Robert, what's up, sir?
I don't know if I like this screen. I'm on the purple side. I must be bringing my Ravens.
I'll flip it.
All right. Well,
see, this is what happens when I tried different stuff and trying to have cameras up. And
we're live at the station. I mean,
live at the station, trying different things, and then it flipped us on the deal. It also does not help when you go to hit start stream and you hit the little X and close everything and then scramble to get things going. But
yeah,
that's the way it goes.
We're back here.
I gotta test something. Hold on. You go right ahead. You keep saying whatever you're gonna do.
No, I was just to say
purple look good on you, Robert. I agree.
Well, come on, the purple Ravens. Next week I'll make sure I wear some purple Ravens stuff. But
darkness, my old friend. All right, soundboard is working.
Is that how you're feeling tonight?
Is working.
No, listen, I posted earlier that we were going live. I have to throw a shout out really quick. I told you about it a minute ago.
Soundboard was working, and then I hit the wrong button again. Continue.
I have to share this, and I shared this with you and big hats off to Brian. I know he disappeared there for a minute ago, but with the changeover now, with it being LC Radio, LC Warrior Radio, not KLZZ, really excited. I actually, when I went onto the link to copy and paste and put it in our Facebook page, got hooked into, I believe I said her name was Katie. That had her show going on. Great show. If you're listening to her, she's doing soundtrack stuff. So excited. Yeah. I actually want to tune in next week at 3:00, to listen to her show again about different soundtracks. So lots of different things going on there. Excited.
I think I got the soundboard set and ready to go. So we'll see how things go as the show goes on. Why not? Welcome into the most professional R&R Sports Report of all time. On today's show, of course, we're going to talk about Battle of the Bridges. You and I were there. Well, you did. I guess you switched between play-by-play and color commentary. Yeah. I still hate that. I was a color commentator for Lewiston. We'll talk all about that. We're going to get into some of the baseball standings. The AL West continues to be very, very interesting. Talk about some college football and that old Pac-12 conference, which is the greatest Pac-12 conference it's ever been. It's so great that they are building such a fantastic conference for the future, and it's just going to go well for them. Yep, cool. Obviously, week 1 of the NFL is in the books. Some things happened. We'll get into it.
I don't want it.
Some good, some bad, some weird, some strange. And that was just Monday night.
I was to say, can we expect anything less? That's my biggest thing. Anything less that can happen in week 1?
We will debate some fun stuff, including the sports-related draft, which Robert came up with. And I love in our show notes, by the way, behind the scenes here, a little behind baseball stuff for you. Robert, his sports-related draft is the Major League Baseball's quirkiest ballparks, and then underneath that,
don't spoil it.
In our show notes, he put the definition.
I did because I wanted to make sure that everybody understands the true definition of quirkiness.
Because you saw my picks and went, he did not understand the assignment.
Well, yeah. Well, I'm surprised you left one out there because
we'll talk about it.
We'll talk about it.
Talk about that. We'll get into our football pick'ems. All of our results for high school, college, and pros are out there on the R&R Sports Report page. Yes, Kevin, absolutely. Get some Jets in the chats. I appreciate all of the support because it's going to change here in a minute, I promise. Hey, I won all 3. I won high school, college, and NFL this week.
I'm cleared house.
One of the only thing I could win. And obviously, Aussie Rules football had their first week of finals. We'll get into that. I won that as well. I went 3-1. Look at me go.
This is the greatest week of you winning pick'ems.
Listen,
I think in a long
karma
time.
Came back and bit me in the butt. All right, let's not
get up too far ahead of ourselves.
And let's start with that. And let's start with Monday Night Football, just because it's the newest thing. It was the biggest thing that happened. I didn't even get to watch the first quarter live. I got to listen to it while I waited for my son to get done with his cross country practice, which for the first time all year ended up running late.
Practice?
Yes.
Practice. I didn't know if they had a match. I know there's
practice. I don't have that sound bite. I have playoffs, but I don't have practice. I need to get practice on the soundboard.
What's funny is there's a track meet or a cross country tomorrow. Does he have cross country tomorrow?
He has cross country on Saturday.
Okay. Yeah, there's one Saturday, but I knew there was one tomorrow too.
Yep. And it's his first meet actually at home. So it'll be really, really fun. You guys just
yes, Eric. Yes. You did win.
We did not believe in the Hurricanes, and it bit us in the butt. Luckily, Hagen did not believe in you either, and that helped me win. All right. Anyways, so beginning of this game happens. I'm listening to the radio, and of course, it happens. Yes, Aaron Rodgers goes down, and then junior high is tomorrow. Chase is no longer in junior high, sir. I'm old.
Listen,
Aaron Rodgers goes down, and it looks like the season is done. Haley can tell you firsthand the amount of emotions that are going on. Chris, I thanked Chris so much for stepping in late and being part of our power rankings. Chris, he is now no longer on the power rankings because of that comment. It's just absolutely insane and gross.
Hey,
and no,
I haven't said it. Is it time for me to finally say it?
You can say it.
Joe Flacco is still out there.
Oh God.
Just saying. You're not
that guy, pal. Trust me. You're not that guy.
No, not at all. No. But listen, he's still there. He's still available.
That's great.
Says he even last week in an article, he says, I can still play. There you go.
I sent out a thing. I got to find it again. It is better than Flacco. Good timing on that. I sent out a thing. Harry was not a fan of the stat that I sent.
Which stat is that?
Trivia question for you.
Okay.
Week 1, passer rating. Rank these 4 quarterbacks. Patrick Mahomes.
Okay.
Josh Allen. Joe Burrow. And Zach Wilson, who had rank those 4 quarterbacks based on their week 1 passer rating.
Well, let's start this. I have a question. Does that include Josh Allen's passes that he threw to Cowboy defensive backs?
Cowboy defensive back? You mean Jets defensive backs? Yes.
Okay.
By the way, that was another fantastic joke. That Josh Allen threw more passes to Jets players than Aaron Rodgers did this season. That was great.
So I would think probably Wilson is leading that group.
Yes, 81.4, better than the 77.5 from Mahomes, 62.7 from Allen, and 52.2 from Burrow. So just so you know, all right, Zach Wilson's fine. However, I gotta find my deal. But
that's true.
You know, as a Jets fan, me and all of the other Jets fandom that are all over the radio airways, Rich Eisen, Mike Greenberg, all of us super excited for months. We're getting ready for it. And 4 snaps in, do you know what we all said?
I don't know if you had any words to say.
Oh, no.
We suck again.
Love that clip. Love that clip from that.
That
movie.
soundbite I got about the second, third quarter, and then things changed around. You know what? Jets end up winning the game, but in true Jets fashion, it's a win that felt more like a loss. Because as much as I'm joking around about Zach Wilson having a better passer rating than those three, this is the same stuff of last year, where the defense is going to be phenomenal. The run game looked amazing. Breece Hall had like 100 yards in his first two touches.
I was say he had what 70 some.
It would have been more if Garrett Wilson would have blocked somebody instead of celebrating as he ran by. He forgot Breece Hall is just not quite in that shape yet. So he looked great. Dalvin Cook looked great. Garrett Wilson turned an interception into a touchdown. That man is amazing. But we don't have a quarterback. As much as I want to see Zach Wilson improve, we don't have a quarterback, and we're not going to have a quarterback, because guess what? Tom Brady is not walking through that door. No. And God forbid somebody like Carson Wentz tries to walk through that door. The Jets are not going to
Matt Ryan's still there too.
Please. I would rather have Zach Wilson.
Well, Kevin even answered Sanchez, but Sanchez has been retired.
Sanchez is far too old and retired. I think so is Kaepernick. Kaepernick is done.
Chris wants to see Kaepernick, but
there are options out there for the Jets that would be interesting, but it really comes down to if Rodgers wants to come back or not. So obviously, if you're not paying attention and you're just wondering why I'm nearly in tears on the show, Aaron Rodgers did tear his Achilles, which there's a video out there where you can see his calf go.
Oh, really?
Like you can see it burst. I'll show you after the show. It was not a pretty sight. It is not Tom Brady or Colin Kaepernick. It's not. Guys, calm down with those. It's hilarious to go through as just jokey memes and stuff. But we on the R&R Sports Report only talk about reality.
Well,
like Zach Wilson being a better quarterback than Patrick Mahomes in week 1. That's a reality.
We've thrown out all these names.
Yes.
Okay, so all of these names, and I'm not pulling my Diet Pepsi up for a commercial ad or anything like that, but here's a funny thought. Have you seen the new Pepsi Zero commercial?
No.
And it has all of some of the old players, Dan Marino wearing his glasses, Jerry Rice, Emmitt Smith, all of them going to make a comeback. How about Dan Marino on your team?
Dan Marino. Chris brings up Minshew. I know a lot of people in the Northwest loves Gardner Minshew. Minshew is not even good enough to beat out rookies anymore. He was never good. People just need to stop with him too. Like, when was Gardner Minshew good? Just like when was Mike White good? People continue to think Mike White was the better quarterback. He's not. He had 2 games in an entire career and 7 terrible ones. Everyone only wants to remember the good ones.
Gardner Minshew went 0 for 2 on Sunday.
So there you go. However, there are quarterbacks out there that could possibly be available and could possibly work out.
Are you going to the auditions?
I am definitely not. I could turn around and hand it off with the best of them, but if you need me to throw the ball forward, I have shoulder problems.
So I really liked your idea, and it
was not mine.
You and you shared it with me before we went on air, but
I listened to a lot of stuff today. I've just tortured myself all day long. I just can't help myself. That's just, as a Jets fan, this is what we do.
Haley, was he that bad today?
I did my best to only listen when I was in the car in between trips.
Okay.
But I did listen to a lot of sports radio. But Nick Wright had a great idea on First Things First, and that is trade Dallas for Cooper Rush. Rush started a few games and won those games for the Cowboys. Obviously, they have Dak Prescott, and they just traded for Trey Lance. So Cooper Rush could possibly be available. Couple of other quarterbacks that are out there that are decent if you really want to get away from Zach Wilson for the year. Tyrod Taylor is a backup for the Giants, but they don't really have a second string. Marcus Mariota with Philadelphia, he started before. Same with Jacoby Brissett with Washington. I think all of them are decent picks. How about Taylor Heineke for Atlanta?
Yeah.
They seem very set on Desmond Ridder. And then one that I've heard other people talk about, and was a big topic as well, is Jameis Winston. Obviously, Derek Carr is there. They have Taysom Hill that could be the backup. So could Winston be that player that the Jets could trade a 5th, 6th round pick for, and then he takes over? Because obviously he's had a lot of starts. Whoever you bring in, if you bring anyone in, I do think that they are set with Wilson because they liked what they saw during the whole training camp and what they've seen with Aaron Rodgers, kind of mentoring him, is they want this kid to actually succeed. So I don't know if the Jets are going to make a move, but there are legit non-sexy veteran quarterbacks out there that all they're going to be asked to do is throw it 15, 20 times, hand the ball off a ton, and please don't throw it to the other team.
So you said Cooper Rush, and I had to look it up, and I knew he had a fair amount of games. Last year, 5 games, he went 4-1, threw over 1,000 yards, 5 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, a little high for that, but an 80, right at 60.8 QBR. So, I mean, yeah, he was sacked 7 times in those 5 games, but still solid enough to get some,
for sure.
Especially like you were saying, the weapons he's got around him would be great. You've got Cook,
and that is, I think, the frustrating thing. Like if the Jets were just not good, but we had Aaron Rodgers, and we're hoping Aaron Rodgers would lead us to something, but the rest of the roster was bad.
Right.
This would stink, but it's like whatever. But obviously the roster's good. Yeah. They still came back. I truly believe that entire first half, the Jets players on the field were exactly like the fans in the stands. The sound in that stadium completely disappeared. And us watching at home.
Right.
They were dumbfounded, completely shocked, and could not focus. And they give up the 13 points to Buffalo there in the first half. They're down 13-3. It's not insurmountable by any means, but from that point on, the defense completely shuts down Josh Allen. Allen does give up a couple of gifts with some interceptions. One, I don't really blame him for because it was 3rd down and long, and he just threw it down and see whatever happens, and it turned out to be a long punt. The other 2 were pretty rough, and the fumble obviously helped as well. But the defense completely shuts down Buffalo. The offense finds a little bit of momentum, still not a lot there, but obviously the playbook with Hackett's going to obviously change now that they're going back to Wilson instead of Aaron Rodgers, and we'll see what they do there. But this team can still make the playoffs, even with Zach Wilson. They were close to it last year, and they fell apart and lost the last 7 games. So
you didn't even touch on the 2 defensive backs that you have that are playing unbelievable.
Well, and they didn't even do anything. It was Whitehead had 3 interceptions.
3, but they didn't throw towards Sauce very much.
Yeah, watching Stephon Diggs go against Reed and Sauce was really, really fun. You're not going to shut down Diggs the whole game. Right. And I think Reed had more issues than Sauce did against him, but that was always a fun matchup for sure. Teddy Bridgewater is still around. He was a Jet before.
So was Flacco.
Stop it. Flacco will be there when Lamar goes down. Don't worry. I mean, he still has time to do it. So in the end, I've had all day to think about it, and it really, really sucks. And you get so hyped for something, especially as a Jets fan. It's been my entire life where the Jets just always stink. And then I didn't even put 2 and 2 together until Rich Eisen brought it up on his show. But you know what happened on this day 24 years ago?
Wow.
1999. First week of the 1999 season.
That was still the greatest show on turf time, right? That was still
slightly before, maybe right when they started.
Yeah.
No, week 1, 1999. It was the year after the Jets made it to the AFC Championship game. They lost to John Elway and the Denver Broncos. Shout out to our trivia question. We'll get to that in a second. Made it 1 game away. We had Bill Parcells as our head coach.
Right.
Vinny Testaverde as the quarterback. Curtis Martin was running wild. Everything was working for the Jets.
Curtis Martin. I haven't heard that name forever.
Everything was working fantastic. Do you know what happened week 1? Vinny Testaverde.
Yeah, that's right.
Tore his Achilles tendon on his left leg. Do you know who was the honorary coach for the Jets yesterday?
Oh no,
Vinny
oh
Testaverde.
dear Lord.
Came full circle. Absolutely came full circle. Really, really sad. Kevin, yes, absolutely. The punt return from Gibson. Not only was I super excited from winning that game, but if you watched Hard Knocks, I fell in love with Gibson. He was one of the 2 rookie wide receivers that went undrafted and just had a fantastic showing out there. He's a really short dude, so he doesn't have the build of a normal receiver, but he won himself a job as a good returner, and they had a little fun with him, kind of talking him down before they told him he had made the roster and stuff. So it's just a really, really cool story, and for him to win the game was really, really, really great for sure.
Yeah, I'm excited to see it because I had watched a couple of plays during the preseason, and he did quite well, and I was shocked that they didn't know if they were going to cut him or not. So
there's an earthquake in Pullman. I didn't even know that. That's great.
What?
Oh, yesterday, I'm going to guess. And Kevin saying I was the cause. It's possible. it's highly possible. So yeah, we'll see what happens with the Jets. I think Buffalo, that's a horrible loss for them to lose to Zach Wilson. And guess what? Zach Wilson's beat Josh Allen twice in the last 3 matchups.
So with that being said, and you look at his comments, and you saw his comments afterwards, Josh Allen put it all on him. He's the one that messed it, and he took every bit of it, which is, but have we seen the steady decline in Josh Allen?
I think he got a little overhyped for a little bit from people. I was worried about him when he first started, and I bought into the hype. I'm not going to say I'm like Nick Wright and just was against him the whole time, but he definitely has that gunslinger mentality, the old Brett Favre deal, where he's going to think he can make every throw. Sometimes it's going to work out for you. Sometimes it's not. It worked out for those couple of years when he first was connected with Stephon Diggs, and he would just throw it up. But Diggs, still was young enough where he would go out and beat everybody. Right. And now that's just not the case as much. Allen is still trying to do that. I still don't understand the one run he had yesterday where he was 7 yards away from the first down and jumped up into Jets defenders like he was going to hurdle them and make the first down. But I don't know. It's week 1. We'll get into more of that stuff. But the Chiefs lose to the Lions. The Bengals looked horrible against the Browns.
Pittsburgh looked horrible.
Or did San Francisco look amazing? We'll talk about that later on in the hours. It's just 1 week, and you have to make sure that you're not overreacting to things. And that's why I thought power rankings this week, which you can get on the R&R Sports Report, again, thanks to all 6 people that helped put those together with us this week. It's really fascinating to go through those. And if I had the time to get the PowerPoint up, I'd kind of show you the differences. But that's why I put the high and the low for all of these teams, is because we were all over the map. And I really had a problem between like 16 and 25.
That's where I struggled.
Because that's where, this team I thought was going to be okay got destroyed. Or this team that I don't think is going to be very good had a good week. It's like, do I flip them? Do I really think that this team's better than that team, but they had the better week? Maybe I was wrong about them. So it's with 1 week and the small sample size that we have, it's very tough not to overreact. With that said, do you know what Zach Wilson told Josh Allen at the end of that game?
I'm not sure.
I'm better than you, and you know it.
All right. And you know what happened on Friday night?
Now, come on now.
Let's move on to topic number 2.
Well,
the Lewiston Bengals told the Clarkston Bantams to
acknowledge me.
Now, listen, the very first part of it, we played quite well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Listen,
I said a lot of good things about your team.
So when I walked down after we got done doing our post game, and we all talked, and Denny, friend of the show, Denny Grubb, also there, Brian Danner, we all talked about. We kind of compared stats to see where everybody at. And Danner looked at us, and Danner looked at me through the door there, and he said, "You guys should not worry." That was the first. No. That was his first comment to me, and nothing else. We hadn't said anything else, and he's like, "You don't have anything to worry about."
The difference in that game is just the depth of Lewiston.
Exactly.
Where they can switch people out on the offense and defensive lines. and switch personnel out.
I want to say there was like 55 for them, and I think we played with
the first
to like
half.
30.
First half was really close. Clarkston
25.
had a ridiculous drive in that second quarter that went 17 plays, went 9 minutes or so, and ended up in a touchdown. They also had another drive that got into the red zone that they were unable to score in. But the Bantams, I thought, looked extremely good, and I caught myself on the Lewiston broadcast talking more positively about Clarkston for a little bit than I was Lewiston. Which, I mean, it's going to be the case. You don't want any of the biases anyways. But, and you didn't put him in the notes, so I'm going to blank on his name, but your running back.
JJ DeSarno.
Yeah, DeSarno was fantastic. And the fact that he cramped up in the third quarter playing defense, was taken off the field, missed 4 or 5 plays. And then for the rest of the game, you could tell he was still in a ton of pain. He would run the ball and limp back to the huddle just to run the ball again. I thought he was absolutely fantastic. Reichen Kraber was insane. Obviously destroyed the rivalry record.
Yeah, DeSarno had I want to say 21 or 22 carries for 117 yards. But Reichen Kraber, I think hands down, out of both, there was really 2 teams that really stood out. One of which was Lathan coming back after being hurt, him finally getting a great game. Jackson Lathan for Lewiston, but also Reichen Kraber, 7 receptions, 240 yards.
It was insane.
Yards.
And that is with a dropped pass in the first quarter that would have went for 80. He burned the cornerback. The safety was on the other side of the field, and we saw throughout the rest of the game how fast Kraber is. That would have been another 80 yards, and that really could have changed the game. And we talked about it afterwards, but I guarantee you, I've never met Kraber, but just knowing how a lot of athletes are, he's thinking more about that one drop than the ridiculous game they had on the other side, and he shouldn't, because he was phenomenal. You said Lathan was really good. He was 165 yards, 3 touchdowns. He had missed last week, and you could really tell the difference that he made in that offense. Also, especially talking to Danner, because he was able to go down to Southern Idaho and watch the first 2 games. Lewiston tried something completely different that they did not do in the first 2 games, and that was a lot more option heavy and a lot more screen pass heavy. And we'll see what that does for the Bengals going forward. But obviously it worked out for Clarkston. They were able to really wear down the Bantams. Again, a lot of that comes with depth, but like you said, and Danner said it, and I said it on the broadcast, it's like, yeah, Clarkston lost this game by a couple of scores, but really good going into GSL action and getting ready for their first home game, because they've played 2 games against Moscow and Lewiston, win one and lose this one, but they've got some talent on that team. That the line is stacked, in my opinion, for the Bantam. So I'm very excited to see what Clarkston is able to do the rest of the year.
Yeah, but they've got, a couple of seniors with Port and also with Sage Lone Bear, but, they still got some youth there with Ian Moore, and it just looks that good with them guys. But you said Reichen Kraber Jr. right now, and I really would, I kick myself, junior high, you wish that these guys had a little bit bigger arm when they come up and went through with me. I'm like, seeing him run routes the way he did now, it's just crazy. But he's a huge track star too. So track season, he is crazy fast. Him and Christian Howell last year. Christian's now graduated, but both of those guys just run like crazy. Right. I'm excited to see how do we adapt a little bit after this huge impact, with them. It was sad not seeing Nate Summers out there, because Nate gives them the height, and Nate was still dealing with the rib injury, leg injury. So hopefully we get Nate back this week. But I had a minute or 2 to talk with him pregame, but he was wanting to be out there playing. But it's a little bit more important to be out there during that time of things going on with GSL action. But you want to be out there rivalry, but you already know that it's going to be a tough game anyway. So heal up a little bit.
It was a really good crowd. A lot of people showed out for it, and I'm sure that they were able to raise a lot of money. That's the other really good thing with the Lewiston-Clarkston football game.
I don't know about the PA announcer. He was a little loud.
Oh, man.
It was Corey Williams, our buddy Corey Williams.
Yeah, now over there he's assistant principal now at SAC. So was good to see him again. I haven't seen him since baseball season, so I was able to BS with him for a minute or two. Good to see him back and getting into some Lewiston stuff. But now we get ready for Golden Throne. Hopefully by then these other microphones will work and we'll be able to bring in some actual people from the school. But I think both teams are going to be in decent
I think
places. It's about the bottom of the hour, so let's give some love to LCWR and make sure that if you are watching live on our Facebook or YouTube pages, we appreciate you. That's where you can comment. You can have a lot of fun with us, as a ton of you have been, and we appreciate every single one of you. However, if you would just like to listen to the audio version and you're out about, you can go to lcwarriorradio.com and you can find us there live, and you can find all the other stations. Robert watched or listened to one doing the soundtrack kind of a show. I know we have one show on Fridays that is based on video game music. There's one on heavy metal. There's another sports show I think that is earlier on Thursdays. Earlier on Tuesdays. I keep forgetting to check that one out. There's different shows all over the place. You can find the schedule out there. They continue to improve that website. It took them about a year to get all the licenses over, and we kind of saw that transition here. You still do. We still have some old signage back here from back when it was a legit radio station, but now it's all online, all digital, and all streaming. So you can check it out there. Also, if you're listening on the streaming side, go check out our Facebook and YouTube pages. R&R Sports Report is where you can find that, and that is where you can comment like Brian and Kevin and Eric and all the other guys have done so far this show. You can also check out our power rankings that come out. I try to every Tuesday. It might get pushed to Wednesday just because the tight window there causes me stress trying to get other people in. And some people that are nice enough to put in the effort and the work to put those in have work conflicts that mess things up. I know Kennedy, who does the rankings, she didn't actually end up getting off work till 1 a.m, and she was supposed to get off about near the end of the Jets-Bills game, and that just did not work in her favor. So we make things work, and it'll get out there. You can also check out all of our pick'ems that we do on this show, and Robert does a really good job of sharing all the other local stuff that's going on.
Try to do that. We've got tomorrow we'll have our picks go out about 10 o'clock for this week's college and high school, which we'll get to in a little bit.
Which I'm crushing.
And then Thursday we'll post our picks for NFL for week number 2. So
it's a busy season for us for sure. Get off of the football range for a little bit. Let's get into baseball. And Seattle has been playing extremely well, but
I'm afraid I've got some bad news.
Yeah, the bad news, we have lost a few straight games. That's
4 straight games for Seattle going into the day. Texas turning things back around. What a roller coaster season they have been having. They've won 3 straight. They're both now trailing Houston.
What do you call that name of that roller coaster? If you're giving Texas Rangers a roller coaster name, what
Walker Texas Ranger?
What would it
Walker Texas roller coaster? That's what you name it. Real quick, we'll get to the scoreboard, and then we'll talk more about the West. Completed so far, Yankees defeated the Red Sox 3-2 in the first game of their doubleheader, and the Yankees right now with a 2-1 lead in the top of the 7th inning of game number 2. White Sox over the Royals 6-2. White Sox took out the Orioles 5-2. That's why Denny has not asked what the Baltimore score is yet. Pittsburgh with a 5-1 win over Washington. Going on right now, Cincinnati and Detroit tied at 5 in the 9th inning. Atlanta with a 6-5 lead over Philadelphia. That one in the 9th. I'll skip that one because that's important. Mets over the Diamondbacks 6-2 going to the 8th inning. Milwaukee with a 2-1 lead over Miami in the 7th. Tampa Bay with a 2-1 lead over Minnesota. That's also in the 7th inning. Kansas City in the second game of their doubleheader, I missed that, is up 9-1 already, bottom of the 5th inning. I have not looked to see if my bet of Chicago also getting to 100 losses is still possible. I'll look at that in a minute. And Cubs with a 2-0 lead over Colorado going to the bottom of the 3rd. Still to come, Cleveland versus San Francisco and San Diego and the Dodgers. Now let's get to your West.
Which team did you say?
Chicago. The White Sox.
I was looking at it real quick.
Hey, by the way, the fantasy baseball is not over. If you're good, you're in the playoffs.
They're at 80. They're at 88 games right now.
Ooh, I don't know if they have enough games. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. I said they'll get to 100 losses. They might. As far as your West goes, this is where they stand right now. Texas is in a series with the Toronto Blue Jays. They are up 5-2. Are the Rangers over the Blue Jays, top of the 9th inning, and the Rangers have a runner at second with 1 out. They need to get that run scored so that Smith and Chapman do not come in to try to blow another save. Houston is in a series with the Oakland Athletics. The score is 5-1. It's not the way you think. Verlander has given up 5 runs to the Oakland A's. A's winning that one by 4, but Houston does have runners at first and third. Nobody out, bottom of the 5th. And then your Mariners start here in about 7 minutes or so against the Angels. How are you feeling right now, sir? You were in first place the last time we talked a week ago.
Mm-hmm.
Now you're in third.
Yeah, I think the big thing is we ran into the Tampa Bay Rays. That's one of them. I'm not taking anything away, but the Rays have played quite well over the.
Stop trying to suck up to Eric before the sports-related draft. I know your tricks.
I'm full of tricks, right? Lots and lots of tricks. But they have played quite well over the last, few games. But to run into a, 4-game loss, including last night. Yeah, but I got so mad on Saturday watching them blow a lead, giving up a 2-run home run in the bottom of the 9th. It just is rough. But I think what hurts the most is knowing that you lost to the Mets.
Right.
You lost a series to the Mets. You lost a series to the Reds. These teams are not better than you.
Yeah, and you got to win these games coming down the stretch for sure. And you're also
they were on the road, so that not to take anything
away,
but
you're a game behind Toronto for that second wild card. They're kind of mixed in there as well. So right now, as the wild card goes, Tampa Bay has a pretty good lead there. Then Toronto has a half-game lead over Texas, and Texas with a half-game lead over Seattle. Seattle right now would be just outside of the playoffs. The NL wild card continues to be fun. Philadelphia, the Cubs, and the Diamondbacks are all in. Miami and San Francisco right now a game and a half back, and Cincinnati 2 games back. And I can just go ahead and say that my wish that San Diego would turn things around, it's over. They're still 8 games out. It's just not happening. But back to your West, I pulled to you and brought up your remaining schedules because it is in your hands.
Oh, yeah.
Seattle.
100% in our hands.
The final 10 games for the Seattle Mariners are against either Texas or Houston. That is going to be a lot of fun. Unfortunately for Mariner fans, and probably for Ranger fans too. However, Houston is losing to Oakland right now. 8 of the next 11 games for the Astros are against either Oakland or Kansas City. They also have a series with Baltimore, which will be a lot of fun. Texas has some fun series with Toronto. Cleveland could be fun. Boston's interesting. They also play the Angels as well. But the Mariners, I don't like the schedule. I mean, it is in your hands. The final 10 games are against those teams, but you're finishing up the series with the Angels. Then you play the Dodgers, who are red hot right now.
Yep.
Sure, 3 games against Oakland. You think you can win those, hopefully.
You would think.
And then those final 10. So it's going to be really interesting between those three teams. And it'll be even more interesting if Toronto does not implode and one of those 3 don't make the playoffs.
Yeah, it's going to roll down to I think the last 2 weeks. Getting through these next 2 games tonight and tomorrow against the Angels are going to be huge. And if they've got to come back from bouncing, losing 4 in a row. I know Wu. I think it's Wu pitching tonight. I forget who else who is pitching for the A's. But yeah, but the red hot Dodgers, that's the one that scares me.
Absolutely.
And it puts the idea of, Mookie Betts and Freddie Freeman come to Seattle and just rolling things over could really put, I don't want to say put a stake in it, but there's a good chance that if they could roll that series and then you're even farther behind of Houston.
If I had to put your feet to the fire a little early, well, obviously we'll revisit this in a week or 2.
Right.
But if I made you give me what you expect your record to be in those final 10 games. 7 games against Texas, 3 games at home against Houston. Out of those 10 games, what will be the record for Seattle?
Wow, that one's tough. If you can get I think if you can get 5 of the 8 from Texas, which
5 of the 7,
or 5 of the 7, yeah,
Mhm.
5 of the 7, and get 2, I would love to
so
see
7
that.
and 3.
I would love to see 7 and 3.
Mhm.
That I think that would be enough, but it's a lot depends on what happens with Oakland, because Oakland has jumped out early on both the games.
Well, I don't care about those. I just care about your final 10 games.
I would love to see 7 and 3.
Yeah.
Love to see 7 and 3.
We'll see where things stand and if 7 and 3 will even be enough. So move on to some college football now. We bounce around here a little bit. How about that Pac-12? We talked about last week that all the teams were undefeated. That has changed. 4 teams lost this week. However, Stanford lost a conference game to USC, and who just completely destroyed them. As a conference, Pac-12 is 21-4 right now, 20-3 against non-conference opponents, and 8 of the 12 teams are in the latest AP Top 25. I think it's still too early for these rankings, but whatever. It is fun for right now. USC is 5th, Washington is 8th, Utah 12th, Oregon 13th, Oregon State 16, Colorado 18. WSU with that big win against Wisconsin is at 23, and UCLA at 24. A couple of fun notes just to kind of add to it. Shedeur Saunders for Colorado is 2nd in the country with 903 passing yards. Caleb Williams is 3rd at 878. And Michael Penix Jr. for Washington is 4th with 859 passing yards already this year. Oregon is 2nd in the country with over 600 yards per game. USC 5th, Washington is 6th. And there is some defense in the Pac-12. Oregon State right now is actually 7th in the country, allowing just 222 yards per game. Again, a lot of these teams are playing cupcakes, so the stats lie a little bit. But the Pac-12 have played some pretty good teams. I mean, you just look at Washington State's win over Wisconsin last week.
I had to just look this up. You just rattled off the 2, 3, and 4 passers in the country, and they come from the Pac-12.
I want to say it was like Hawaii or something.
It is
right?
Hawaii. Yeah. It's Braden Shager, 972 yards of passing.
Well, Caleb Williams would be leading, but he barely plays past the first half with some of these games right now because USC has just been blowing people out. It's going to be really fun when some of these teams start playing each other. Obviously, only one of these teams will make it into the Final Four because obviously they have not extended the playoffs. But I do think that they have made their case that a Pac-12 team is going to make the tournament this year just with how stacked they are. And again, it's just so sad that this is the final year of the Pac-12 and it's the best year the Pac-12 has had in ever.
Oh, it's been a long time.
Like, it used to just be, okay, USC is good, so Pac-12 will get some representation. Or Oregon was really good, so they get some representation. Washington back in the early 90s. It was never, look at how many great teams there are. And it's where we're sitting right now.
So you throw that out there, and I want your opinion on this. And we talked about some of these teams. You know, USC, I think is going to be a huge thing. And now Eric brings up Colorado adjusting into the Big 12. So we talked a little bit about it a couple weeks ago, and I asked you about Prime and how you thought about watching. This is going to be 3 straight weeks in a row that he is on national television.
Why? Who are they playing this week?
They're I
didn't put them in our pick'ems. So.
They're in the afternoon slate, if I remember right. I'm pulling it up here.
It wasn't a good enough game to put in pick'ems.
No, they're playing Colorado State.
Oh,
and so
it's just because of Prime. I mean, and it's good for college football.
Yeah, it was college.
Don't get me wrong. It is driving me absolutely bonkers.
Two national
games.
2 national games. On the big noon on.
Hey,
Fox.
You know what that might mean?
What's that?
Does Colorado come to Pullman this year? Can you look up the Colorado schedule real quick?
Yep.
Could we get one more college game day before WSU leaves the Pac-12 or the Pac-2 or whatever it's going to
Dude,
be?
that would be awesome.
It's the only way they're going to get it right
Listen,
now is get
And
prime.
the awesome thing about that is he's said it so many times that his favorite place, Reese's favorite place to come is in
Pullman.
Is Pullman. He
For sure.
loves it, and he talks about it quite frequently.
They need to get there again, and Coach Prime could be the reason for it if Colorado does indeed play in Pullman. The internet here has been so bad, so we will get to that in a second.
They are at Washington State. Ooh, on my wife's birthday.
Oh, well, you're out.
So, Denise, if you're listening to the R&R Sports Report, let's go spend your birthday in Pullman, where you already work.
At 4 a.m. on a Saturday.
And it's a night game, too, and it'll be on FS1. It already shows.
Oh, if it's already stuck on FS1, they may not.
That might be. Who knows? On her birthday. So.
Oh, maybe the Fox people. Well, I guess that's big new. What is Fox's thing?
Big. I don't know.
Big noon Saturday or whatever it is. I don't know. I don't watch Fox Sports as much.
So that's the week before Thanksgiving. So that might be
we'll see. I mean, if both teams can continue to win, we'll see how it goes. All right, back to the NFL. We'll get to some awards now. Real quick through our power rankings. You can check it out again on the R&R Big Noon Kickoff. Thank you. You can check out our entire 32 team rankings with 6 other people involved. Eric is one of them.
Love it.
As he has been messaging. Chris, who joined this week, has been messaging as well. We also see if I can remember everybody off the top of my head without having to look. Harry Broadhurst is part of it. Kennedy Eddings is part of it. Sean Garmer and Zach Swan, along with those two. And us. So we have a lot of fun with it. You and I had the exact same top 5. And apparently it was the same, at least top 4 is what ESPN put. Harry was telling me earlier. 49ers 1, Eagles 2, Chiefs 3, Cowboys 4, Miami Dolphins are 5th. So you had the Jets 5th.
I did.
The Jets won, and you dropped them down your power rankings, as did some of us. Some people moved them up,
right?
But I think I moved them down a spot or two. It's scary with Aaron Rodgers not there. So I totally get it. That and Miami and Dallas both looked phenomenal. Give me your offensive player in the week in the NFL this week.
I'm going to show a little love to my buddy Richie, just because I had him on the team. I took a gamble with him. Listen, Tua looked unbelievable.
Yes.
Kevin got a little ahead of it. I have it in my notes, but Tua looked unbelievable. 28 of 45.
You had them in your notes, so I deleted your news.
I know. 466 yards, 3 touchdowns, an interception, but unbelievable looking after the way his season was last year.
For me, it was somebody I think I talked to you about being a sneaky pick for fantasy this year because there's so many other weapons,
right?
And he could just kind of hide under the radar. I think it worked.
One of his touchdown passes looked this way too. He kind of snuck in the back.
Yeah. Deebo Samuel and Christian McCaffrey are going to take a lot of the attention, and Brandon Ayuk had a fantastic game for the 49ers, who were just phenomenal against Pittsburgh. 8 receptions for 129 yards and 2 touchdowns for Ayuk. That offense is going to be so good. So is that defense. Pittsburgh, I thought they could be a sneaky playoff contender. It does not change with this outcome. I think just San Francisco is that good. It was really cool to see Brock Purdy continue his ridiculous story. We'll talk about that here shortly. Defensive player of the week. I had to go Homer because that's
why I left him there.
Cool job by Jordan Whitehead, safety for the Jets. 3 interceptions against the Buffalo Bills on Monday night. And in a rare moment, all these players have incentives on their contract. Throw for this many passing yards, play this many snaps, rush for this many yards. Well, Jordan Whitehead had a $250,000 bonus if he had 3 interceptions in the season. He has just made himself $250,000 richer in week 1.
Yeah, let's do it week 1, get it out of the way.
Absolutely.
And now focus on
whatever incentives you got. So good job by Whitehead. He is my defensive player of the week.
There's a couple of, you could have said a couple of teams the way they played and all that too, but I looked at a guy and he didn't have near as many tackles, but he did force a few things. And I'm going to take Montez Sweat from defensive end for the Commanders. Who would have figured I would have taken somebody from the Commanders already?
Right.
But had a huge game. 4 tackles, 3 of them were solos, a sack and a half already in the first game, and then 2 forced fumbles. So huge numbers for him defensively. So I went that way. I mean, we could have went a few different ways, but
there you go. The other Josh Allen with 3 sacks. Got to remember the defensive Josh Allen. By the way, I did not put this in the notes because I forgot we did this last year.
Are you sure you didn't delete it?
From my memory. But we did do the Eliminator last year.
Oh, we did.
And we need to bring that back. So if anybody has not, we'll talk about Mr. Irrelevant. Aiden Hutchinson was good too. Thank you, Chris.
I was going to say, Chris, he was that close, dude. I had him this close.
If it wasn't for homerism, there would be no isms on this show.
I didn't go.
All right. So the Eliminator, we did this last year and we did pretty well.
I think we did too.
I think there's 1 or 2 teams that snuck in. So basically what we do, and I stole this from another radio show, I think it was on Fox Sports, and I think they still do it, is every week we're going to eliminate a team from playoff contention.
Right.
And then at the end of the year, there's 18 weeks and 18 teams do not make the postseason. So it works out mathematically. Hopefully we've eliminated the correct teams. This exercise is built to show how we can overreact to things, where you can eliminate a team and then all of a sudden they go on a 5 or 6 game winning streak. And it's like, well, I eliminated them in week 3. So we'll see how this goes. And I will continue to just make sure I don't overreact to things. And my first eliminated team will be the Arizona Cardinals because they're the number 1 overall pick.
I would just say, just go ahead and mark us both down.
Okay, so Cardinals have been eliminated. It gets easy now. But once you get through those couple of teams, it's going to get really hard.
You talked about that 16 through 24 last night, and then me sitting there trying to do it last night, I was like, God, where do I move these guys? That middle group is going to be tough.
It's going to be really tough. Literally, I mean, there's a couple outliers when we look at the power rankings. I know Chris had, maybe ESPN did it as well. I just remember seeing it, a radio station would do it. So ESPN might have had their version as well. Chris had the Giants at last, and I totally understand with how horrible they looked against Dallas. But really, I mean, minus a few outliers, we had the same 4 teams at the bottom.
Right.
Once we get through those 4 teams, then you're going to really start getting into the muck of things. So it will get interesting as the season goes on. We took the easy way out here in the first week. All right, topic 6 now, and we'll stay with the National Football League because I want to get your perspective on this. Dallas was more impressive as far as doing it on the bigger stage against the rival on Sunday Night Football. San Francisco, completely different conference. I want to say it was an early morning game, and maybe some people just did not notice it as well. But who was more dominating in week 1, the San Francisco 49ers or the Dallas Cowboys?
That one's difficult.
Run through it for you real quick, stat wise. For San Francisco, they defeated Pittsburgh 30-7. They went 5.9 yards per play. It's pretty good.
Right.
Brock Purdy was 19 of 29 for 220 yards, 2 touchdowns. Christian McCaffrey, 22 carries, 152 yards, and a touchdown himself. We already talked about Ayuk and how good he was. In the receiving game, defense was just as good. I gave up just 239 yards, 41 yards rushing, 5 sacks, 2 interceptions. And they had the ball for over 37 minutes in that game against a Steelers team that a lot of people are picking as a dark horse playoff team. We'll see. I was down on the Giants coming into the year, but not this far down. Dallas beat the Giants 40-0. A blocked field goal that turned into a touchdown really turned that game around. The pick 6 did not help matters. But Dallas only gave up 171 total yards, just 63 yards passing with all the sacks. Well, a lot of that comes from the sacks. 7 sacks in that game, 3 turnovers. And then you look at the offensive stats, they just didn't need any. Tony Pollard was fine, 14 carries for 70 yards, 2 touchdowns. Prescott just 143 yards passing. But really, it was the defense for the Cowboys that was really dominating.
I think I'm going to lean. I kind of agree with Kevin. I think I'm going to lean San Francisco. Reason behind it, and I hate to say this early, is that weather related. I mean, it looked like garbage.
But that was in the second half when that game was done.
Right. But looking at the way Christian McCaffrey came out and ran the ball there in the first quarter, or just even in the first half, he just looked like he was his old days of being in Stanford. I mean, he looked that good. And so I think I'm going to go.
Please stay healthy.
Yeah. I think San Francisco was probably the better of the two.
Yeah, I think I'm going to agree with you. Dallas's defense scares me as a Jets fan because that's who New York gets next week, and it's not without Aaron Rodgers. Poor Zach Wilson. Oh, man. Hopefully the defense can even keep this close. I was so excited for that game because Aaron Rodgers dominates Dallas, and now it's all done. And it's just, now I'm back to sad mode. But no, San Francisco, both offensively and defensively, were absolutely fantastic. This is the team I picked to make it to the Super Bowl. And after 1 week, I like my pick so far. Cincinnati, maybe I don't like that as much in the first week, but I'm not going to overreact because, like the Jets, have figured out Josh Allen, and that is why Zach Wilson, of all people, have beaten Josh Allen in 2 of their last 3 meetings. Cleveland's defense has figured out Joe Burrow in that offense.
That was such a confusing game watching. I don't know if it was play calling or what, but watching how Cleveland's defense was handling things, it was just nuts.
All right, let's go back to baseball real quick and kind of get ourselves back in that mood before we get into our sports-related drafts. Get back to our weekly awards. Baseball edition. Who was your standout batter this last week?
I'm going to go with a team that has been hot, and then it's coming out of the AL West, and I'm going to say Jose Abreu, the first baseman. 5 games, he batted almost 400, 2 home runs, 2 doubles, 5 runs, 13 RBIs, while only striking out 1 time.
It's not bad. Quick update: Texas did beat Toronto 6-3. So that does not bode well for you.
No.
So far, Houston is still losing to Oakland of all teams 5-2.
Oakland.
And the Mariners have runners at first and second with 1 out, bottom of the first. Mine is Matt Olson. And I put these stats up before he hit 2 more home runs yesterday and another home run today. 51 home runs now for Matt Olson on the year.
Did you take Matt Olson when I asked last week when we did the questions?
Or who would have the most home
runs?
I think I took Olson. I believe I did. Well, it was either him or Ohtani, and Ohtani's been banged up, and I think I went Olson.
I think I threw 2 other names in there.
But they were farther back. 12 of 22 last week, 545 batting average, the 4 home runs, a double, 8 runs scored, 8 RBIs, 4 walks, and he also only struck out 1 time. And again, he's already on pace to be the batter of the week next week because he already has 3 home runs. By the way, nobody cares about my fantasy team. He's carrying my fantasy team right now in the playoffs. It's great.
And you're playing Richie too.
Yeah. No. Thank goodness I'm not. I'm playing our buddy Clint. If I was facing Richie, it would be insane because he has Ronald Acuna Jr., who continues to be red hot, and Trey Turner, who turned his season around. So that is another team you do not want to face right now.
Listen, and we talked about him at the beginning, and I know he's had a great year. And I told you I was so close to whether or not to take him. Bobby Witt has turned.
Bobby Witt's been good. Julio
been good.
Julio turned his season around with 25-20. Is it 30-30 that he hit or 25-25? Which
Julio hit 25-25.
25-25.
He's the first player to do 25-25 first 2 seasons. But Bobby Witt is really close to being 30-30. I think he had 28. I'll look here in a second, but I think he had 28 home runs as of Sunday.
Who's your standout player? Pitcher.
I'm going to go with Garrett Cole, one of your guy. 2 games, he was 1-0. ERA looked really, really good. Give up just 1 run in those 2 games. In his 13 innings pitch, 16 strikeouts.
He gave up 1 earned run. The Yankees scored no earned runs for him.
Yeah, that was
he was pitching a game.
That was the 1-0 loss, right?
Yeah. No. That was the one where they won in extra innings. The Yankees were getting no hit into the 11th inning. And won that game. Yeah. The offense sometimes for New York. Mine, how about the closer for Eric's Tampa Bay Rays? Julio did reach 33. That's what I did read. So congratulations to Julio there. But closer for the Tampa Bay Rays, Pete Fairbanks, had quite a week. 4 innings pitched, 3 saves, gave up just 2 hits, 1 walk, and he struck out 11 batters. There's 12 outs in 4 innings. If you haven't done the math, 11 of those were strikeouts for Fairbanks.
It's just nuts what these guys can do. It is unbelievable.
All right, give me your power rankings this week. Sorry for no PowerPoint stuff. I just had no time, and the internet has been going wonky anyways.
And so to answer your question, Witt has still sitting on 28 home runs, 42 stolen bases. Do we think he can get to Ricky numbers?
No. He's running out of time.
Yeah. So power rankings for me, I'm going to keep the top 2 the same. I'm going to keep Atlanta and Baltimore 1 and 2. Just because they beat the heck out of the Mariners. I'm going to move Tampa Bay up just ahead of LA. Just ahead.
What?
Yep, what? Exactly. And I'm bringing Houston back into the top 5, and they're my 5th team.
Yeah, I'm with you there with Houston going 5th on mine. I did move Baltimore ahead of the Dodgers. I had the Dodgers 2nd. But with what Baltimore has been able to do, I got close to putting the Rays above the Dodgers as well. Just cannot quite do that yet. So I go Braves, Orioles, Dodgers, Rays, Astros. So again, we have the same 5 teams, just a slight change there.
So to go one more step with Bobby Witt, I'm bringing him up again. Team leaders for Kansas City. And I know Kansas City isn't doing very well.
Right.
276 leads the ball club. 28 home runs leads the ball club. 86 RBIs leads the ball club. 317 OBS or OBP leads the ball club.
I want to know how far back second place is in all of those.
And 159 in hits. So I had a feeling, but you just can't pull the trigger on it with that team.
All right, you are listening to the R&R Sports Report on lcwarriorradio.com. Check us live on our Facebook and YouTube pages. Just check it out, R&R Sports Report. It is currently 74 degrees outside. It's been a beautiful day. It's been a beautiful week.
It has.
Here in Lewiston. It's been great.
And I even texted our buddy Joe Dickinson. Retired life must be well. Because I looked as we were getting ready to go online, go on the show. He was just finished out fishing. He's been fishing every day, and it's been beautiful. Yeah. I need to get out and go fishing.
There you go. Right out of time. All right. It is now time for the sports-related draft.
Whoop, whoop.
I technically won last week for the best month in sports. Chris liked your picks, but never said you. So I win 2-1 on a technicality because he never said Robert wins. So I won 2-1.
Technicality.
I will take whatever technicality I can. By the way, for anyone curious, I lead the overall series 30-19. Eric Watkins has 1 win. Denny Grubb has 1 win. Even though Denny Grubb wasn't even part of his, Eric was.
I think you've manipulated a few of those wins.
I have not. I have the whole chart down there that I keep track of every week. Sometimes I have to go back after a couple weeks because I forget. But yeah, it's totally non-manipulated. And there's times where I have to go back and listen to our show to figure out who won. And then go back and think. All right. But it is your week to come up with a topic. And this could be a weird one.
This was a weird one.
Excuse me. This could be a quirky one.
Yeah, it could be. I came to you on Saturday and I said, okay, I saw this article a few weeks ago. I read it. I thought it was kind of cool. And it made me think about some of these places that you and I have talked about wanting to go on trips and go and see some of these ballparks.
Yeah.
Yes, I don't know if I want to go to New York to hang out in New York and all that kind of stuff, but I want to go to a game there. So
yeah, of course.
But it was an article I saw on Bleacher Report, and it was talking about the Major League's quirkiest ballparks.
Okay, give me the definition of quirky.
Quirkiness can be a couple of different ways you want to think about it.
Okay.
By definition, quirkiness is the quality of being slightly eccentric or unconventional.
Okay.
But while
I've already won this because of one of your picks, by the way.
While quirkiness is unusual, a little strange or peculiar, it's also somehow fascinating. So
that's why you and I are strange and not quirky, because we're not somehow fascinating. Is that what you're telling me?
I think that's what my wife tells me.
Okay. I'm just making sure that I understand the definition of quirky. Did you get this off Webster, off of The American what other
I
dictionaries
don't
are
remember
there?
what one. There was one on
There's
my
a few
back.
different
There
dictionaries.
was one on my back counter on my desk.
So from
from school.
1927. Okay, I got it. All
I
right,
have
so
dictionaries in my room, even though I teach math.
you came up with this quirky little topic,
I
so
did.
I get the very first pick, and you cannot get more quirky as a ballpark than Fenway Park. Just for the Green Monster alone.
You have a wall.
You have a giant wall. Go look at the dimensions of Fenway Park. It's so strange I can't say it.
Is it like 240
No, it's
to
like
right?
what, 310 to left. The pesky pull down the right field line comes all the way into about 310, but then shoots out 40 feet out into right field. And then you get the bullpen wall, which is a decent distance. And then from the bullpen, it shoots out to like 420. And it creates this just weird dimensions, which is part of why we love baseball, because every ballpark is completely different. But this is what they had to do in the small area that they built this thing in 100 and some years ago. And they just haven't changed it. I love the fact that they have now put seats on the Green Monster.
That's where I would like to sit.
Continues to add things. I'm sure those ticket prices have to be insane. But they continue to just add to it. And for how old that ballpark is, they maintain it enough. But again, this is quirkiness. It's a big wall out in left field. It's like, well, we can't build it out, and we can't just say, okay, if you hit it 300 feet, that's a home run. So how do we stop that? 40-foot wall, or however tall this thing is. It's quirky.
It is.
There you go. 100%. Definition. I got it.
Yeah, you get that one. That one's good. I like that one. For me, the first one that comes to mind when I think about it, it has to be American Family Field or the old Miller Park,
right?
Milwaukee. It is. Who designs a giant slide to come for Mr. Bernie to slide down?
So, can I have a second definition from you?
Okay.
I'm
a math teacher.
I know, but our sports-related draft is quirky as ballparks.
Right. It is part of the ballpark.
It's part of the stadium.
It's still part of the park.
It's not part of the field.
It's a whole park. You can't tell me you go to Harris Park and only play softball at Harris Park. That's not true. There's a slide. There are gym tools and all that.
But is a slide quirky?
That's what I'm saying. You got that. You got the funny looking roof. And the
roof is
the
quirky.
weirdest roof that opens up in Miller, American Field now. Got to get the right sponsorship. But between it and you read about the articles of everything of how it stands out just in the middle of a parking lot. Well, good. More parking for people. But I love that. But the best part about it, besides the slide and watching Bernie go down after every home run, how about watching the sausages?
It's not part of the park. It's just an event.
They run around.
It's not a quirky event.
They run around in the park.
The sausages could run anywhere else. You get the weird president people in Washington. You get the Mr. Freeze dude in Atlanta. It's like everyone has these races anymore.
But
it's not. It's a quirky event. It's not a quirky part of the park.
But to have a slide in there.
To go with your definition, you got me with the Harris Park thing, because you go play softball at Harris Park, and the park is part of it. But is Harris Park now quirky if you go there at 11 o'clock at night and there's some strange meth head there? Does that make it more quirky of a park, just a bad time?
We always define that park as BFE because it was so far out in Midland. So you get some weird people.
You get some weird people at a park, not too far from here. So there's weird people everywhere. It doesn't matter how far out you go. They're
so
there.
Are we defined as weird or strange?
We're strange
or quirky.
We're not quirky because nobody finds us fascinating. I've already put that in there. My second pick, I continued the old school feel. And it's Wrigley Field. Again, the way it gets constrained is because the road is right there. So they can't even build out the outfield any more than it already is, because the road is just there and they're not going to go anywhere. But what makes it quirky is it's a brick wall. It's legit a brick wall. And then they just throw ivy on it. And they're like, that'll cushion it. Like, we're talking about how Aaron Judge broke his toe because the Dodgers have cement still on the bottom part of their wall, and how they really need to fix it. And Wrigley Field's going, they only have cement on part of their wall. We have a brick wall, dude. Like, and they won't change it because it's just quirky. Period.
It's history.
It's
history.
It's history and
That's not
quirky.
quirky.
It was quirky when they built it, but now it has become quirky
cheap.
history.
It was cheap because Chicago was known for Chicago bricks. That's what I mean. That's
great. Indy, it's called the Brickyard 400 because the whole racetrack was built of bricks. The whole racetrack is not built of bricks anymore. They just have the one strip. So Wrigley Field could just have a strip of brick somewhere.
So now we're going to get off task because
that's
off topic because so you say the Brickyard. Well, how about Daytona? Daytona used to be run on a beach. Why are we not running on sand in Daytona?
Because they don't need to be that quirky. I also remember the old video games that you could run on that old version of Daytona.
Yeah, Dad used to tell me stories of them going out and watching just an afternoon down at Daytona and then running on the beach. So.
Right. Oh yeah, for sure.
Crazy.
All right, give me your next one.
So who puts a pool in their outfield?
Not only Arizona,
Miami, but they were the first one to do it. Though.
Were they?
Yes.
Was it Arizona or Miami?
I even had to look up who had the first retractable roof. Do you remember who had the first retractable roof?
Who was before Safeco? Because Safeco was what, 2001?
Yeah, that was what I thought, but it wasn't.
No, I knew they weren't the first.
I bet you Eric knows. I know that Denny would know if Denny was here.
Does Dallas count? Because they had the very center of their roof, or like Cowboy Stadium, was
That's
retractable.
not the one that I found.
Okay,
that said the retractable. So
I don't know.
It was Rodgers Center in Toronto.
Oh, okay, yeah. That makes sense.
But crazy. Who would put a pool and a hot tub in there?
A team that's so bad they just come and hang out, don't even care about the game.
And there's a sign on their pool that says "No jumping or you'll be ejected."
Mm-hmm.
Really? Come on. But you put that in there. You have hardly anything, no natural light coming in. Like your next one, that when the roof's closed, you should get a little natural light, like Safeco.
I agree.
And the one that you're going to bring up. This one has absolutely like less than 10% light coming through when that roof is closed at Chase Field in Arizona. But also the cool thing is, a lot of these things have different venues or different places inside. Like we said, it's inside the stadium, inside the park. They have a rotunda with huge pictures and walls of things around, and then memorabilia and that kind of stuff. And it's crazy to look up the wall. But the one that got me funny, the best part about this one is they have home runs. They have what they call home run porch seats. They sell them in a bank of 4, and you're sitting right on one of the wall. What's the need to have a tiny TV there watching the game on the TV? What is the meaning of that? You're only 380 feet away. Why do you need a TV?
That's too far for some people.
Why do you need a TV in a 4-seat set on the home run porch?
Because we need
TVs
Field everywhere.
That makes no sense.
There's nothing makes sense.
Zero.
All right, my last pick. It became less quirky, but safer.
Well, yeah.
But it is still pretty quirky. Minute Maid Park, home of the Houston Astros. Again, it used to be a lot more quirky when they had a hill out in center field. They're just like, hey, we have a ramp. It wasn't even a hill. They called it a hill. It was a ramp. Why it was there, I have zero idea. It made no sense. It made for some ridiculous plays. Jim Edmonds made some great catches out there in center field. Other people just completely collapsed on it because you're just not expecting it. Again, they kind of have that short porch out in left field. They call it the pavilion or something is what they call those seats out in left field. They have the train up above it running. Do they still have oranges in that thing? I don't try not to pay attention to Astros as much as possible.
What's the name of the box? That's what I remember. The train in the box. What I think about anymore. It's been a bit, but with the hill gone.
I like those home run celebrations. Like Shea has the apple, and that's kind of cool. The Marlins, they never get to use it, but they have the fishies. Do they still? They might have got rid of those, but the little fishies that move up and down.
How often does the apple go up and down? That's all it does is it goes up.
Yeah, it goes up and down. Every home run, every time Pete Alonso comes up to the plate, it has to go up and down.
But there's no explosion.
I think they have fireworks.
Do they?
They have to have fireworks now. The other thing with why I almost went with the Marlins Park too, but they got rid of it. They had the fish tank behind home plate, like with live fish while the game was going
Tampa
on.
Bay still has theirs.
Yeah, but
I
not
believe-
right behind home plate.
I don't think it's
They
right
have
behind
it
home plate.
somewhere else, but I don't know. So I went with Minute Maid Park. Just the train is cool. They and rest in peace, Hill.
So I'm gonna go one, and I'm
Holy, okay. Sorry.
uh,
The Royals, remember I had said they had a 9-1 lead? I just got an update saying they took a 10-9 lead. The White Sox scored 8 runs in the bottom of the 6th.
oh boy. I'm gonna go with this one, and maybe it's the quirkiness of it being a replica. How about your New York Yankee Stadium?
Yeah, see, this is where I think I win.
Because
There
it
is nothing
there's-
quirky
yes,
about
there's
Yankee
a couple.
Stadium.
There's a couple. I mean,
There's history. There's no quirky.
they've basically copied what was there
Yeah.
before and put it back
Because
up.
it was beautiful but broken.
But the couple of things I find really still odd about it is
Mhm.
how short the dimensions are.
Yeah.
Compared to most major league parks. Almost
What is
by-
weird about it is the Yankees refuse to sign left-handed batters, but
right?
that's
yeah,
neither here nor
you've
there.
got almost 25 yards different or feet different in both at both poles than most
Mhm.
the average ballparks,
Mhm.
but not taking away from the history.
Yeah.
Because both of us love the history of
Yes.
baseball. Why do you put your monument park out in the outfield? Why?
It's so big that we have to put it somewhere. Like the Mariners can put it on a wall because
Wow,
they
come
don't
on
have
now.
much.
Come on now.
Am I wrong?
No,
It's on a wall, right?
no. I mean,
I haven't been there
They
in
have a
3
hu-
years. I haven't
they-
been there in 3 years, but
they
it
have
was
a
on a
huge-
wall.
Safeco has a huge chandelier. You seen the chandelier?
Yeah, with like the bats and stuff.
I know.
That was kind of cool.
I'm trying to change the subject.
But still, right, the Yankees have retired to 87 numbers. They're running out of numbers. Like Jason Dominguez before he tore his elbow, another horrible thing for me this week. He's number 89.
Yeah,
We're just running out of numbers. These kids have to pick something silly. So
So, and the other things, you look at the facades are cool. That when I think of Yankee Stadium, I think of the old facades up on the top, the rim. But you look at it, everything is made of cement, concrete, hard, and it reminds me of walking into Grand Central Station.
well, that's kind of their idea. The one thing I wish they would have done better at, I've seen videos, and the Yankees will show it every so often, like coming out of breaks and stuff. But you can just go play at Old Yankee Stadium. Obviously, the stadium part's gone, but the field is still there.
Right.
It's just not maintained very well. I wish they would have maintained it where the grass is still really nice. And it's like, all right, here's the Old Yankee Stadium. It's just like Harris Field is better. By the way, when did Harris Field get turf?
What?
The infield at Harris Park is turf.
At Harris Field?
Harris.
Oh, Harris. I haven't been. Listen, I can't tell you how long it's been out at Harris Field. It's been a long, long time.
Oh yeah, Oracle. I mean, Chris makes a great point in our chat with Oracle Park. That's definitely a quirky part with the water just to the outside. But I didn't go with Oracle Park because Pittsburgh has the same thing with the river.
Yeah, you could have said the same thing with at Camden.
Mhm.
Let's get into a warehouse.
Yeah.
How about in San Diego? Let's have a warehouse in the ballpark.
The warehouse is just there. You can go hang out in. What is it?
I
forget
you
what the
can buy
warehouse is
seats.
called,
Yeah,
but-
you can buy seats and go in there and watch.
There's a lot. That's what I love about baseball is you get quirky stuff. Football, you don't. I mean, with the newer stadiums, it's not as much quirky as just way over the top extravagance, like the party section for the new Raiders stadium that they built like right there in the end zone. That's pretty cool. SoFi just has everything, and that's where a lot of these stadiums are going, is just state of the art everything.
Right.
Baseball still is like, what goofy things can we do with our dimensions and or attractions? That they're like,
Sausage races.
it's not part of the park.
Yeah, it's part of it.
It would have been cooler if they ran up the hill at Minute Maid Park. Let's just go with that. All right, there you go. Those are our picks. Let us know who won in the comments below on the R&R Sports Report Facebook or YouTube pages. Quirkiest ballparks. I have Fenway Park, Wrigley Field, and Minute Maid Park. Robert has American Family Field. I still can't get over that name. Chase Field and Yankee Stadium. Let us know in the comments who won this week's sports-related draft. Some score updates for you through Major League Baseball.
I don't like that, Chris.
Thank you, Chris. I appreciate it so much. I'll put it back up because I battled with Robert to put it up. Where did I leave off with wins and losses? Probably there. Cincinnati beat Detroit 6-5. Atlanta held on to beat Philadelphia 7-6. I already told you Texas with a 6-3 win over Toronto. Mets defeated the Diamondbacks 7-4. Milwaukee with a 3-1 win over Miami. And Minnesota scored 2 runs in the 7th inning to beat the Tampa Bay Rays. Going on right now, Yankees with a 2-1 lead over the Red Sox, but Boston has 2 runners on with 1 out. I already told you the game in in Chicago got wild, but the Royals have a 10-9 lead in the bottom of the 7th. Oakland still with a 6-2 lead over the Astros, bottom of the 8th inning coming up. Colorado over the Cubs, 4-2 in the 5th. As you said, Mariners scored 3 runs in the bottom of the 1st inning against Sandoval, and they lead the Angels 3-0. Cleveland over San Francisco 1-0 in the 2nd, and right now just started San Diego and the Dodgers scoreless, but the Padres got the first 2 on, and Machado, who hit 2 home runs yesterday, is at the plate.
Listen, Eric, I have beef now. You can't tell me. It's weird to have a big giant slide that a grown man in a costume slides down all the time.
So you're again, the grown man is quirky.
Yeah, boy, I don't know about
you. Just didn't know you didn't know your own definition of quirky.
You can't put a pool in. I'm sorry, you can't go and drive and go to. Let's go watch the baseball game. Oh, but I'm gonna wear my swimming trunks and I'm gonna go swimming instead. And watch.
We could go put a kiddie pool at Harris.
I don't think Alicia would like that if we come showing up and put a kiddie pool on top of the press box. And say,
not on top of the press box. You put it out behind the left field wall. The kids would love it.
There you go. Hey, George.
George,
you know what? Let's build this. George needs to build this.
I figured out our problems. What do we have issues with every single year at Harris Field?
Air conditioning.
Okay. Well, another thing.
Sorry, Alicia.
That is not as.
That's
as
a Denny Grubb issue. This press box is named for Denny Grubb. Denny Grubb needs to get on that.
But no, it's the kids playing baseball, having a good time, and their baseballs end up in left field.
Sometimes,
well, let's distract them instead of letting them play baseball. Just put a pool back there. Don't be distracted, and we don't have to worry about baseballs flying out and having just random delays. I've now solved the problem. Thank you so much.
Let's take that to George and Brooke and see where we can get with that.
Yeah, absolutely. That will be coming in 2027.
We'll see both of them this weekend, so we'll
for sure. All right, let's get into some local events here.
Haley says too, and a lifeguard.
That is Robert Hagan's job.
You don't want to see this in a Speedo.
Oh, never mind. I'm out. Randy, the lifeguard. Randy can't save himself. All right, some local events. High school football went down. We already told you Lewiston beat Clarkston 42-26. Moscow was with 15 yards from tying it up, but they lost to Pullman 17-10. Soton continues to have a pretty good start to the year. They beat Tri-Cities Prep 16-6. Pomeroy took it to Waitsburg 46-22. Chewelah over Colfax 21-8. Logos took out the once undefeated Cam Yi team 40-14. Dunk tank. Ooh, now Chris, we're on it.
I think George would let us put a dunk tank back there. That would be awesome.
Can we combine the Z-Rock target with a dunk tank?
Ooh.
So if somebody hits a home run and it hits the target, then somebody gets dunked.
Well, you
get dunked into the money that you win.
You almost have to make that hole just a little bit bigger. But that is for $25,000.
And protective glass so you don't get drilled in the face.
Exactly.
Logos is now, I want to say, ranked 2nd or 3rd in 1A. So they've been fantastic. Potlatch over Prairie 50-8. Lakeside over Deary 42-34. Troy defeated Genesee 40-20. And West Valley took out Lakeland 21-10. High school girls soccer, Lewiston and Clarkston met earlier this week, ended up in a 2-2 tie.
Yeah, they met yesterday and played from what I was told watching that, it was a great back and forth defensive for a while, but Lewiston's Avery Lathan both scores both goals in the 9th minute and 78th minute, and then Clarkston's Rebecca Skinner scored both of the goals, 27th minute and 76th minute. So great athletes on both of those teams.
In LCSC news, just so I can, we've got the soundboard going up again, so I got to have a little bit of fun. So first off,
basketball, gimme the ball because I'm gonna dunk it. Basketball, gimme the ball because I'm gonna dunk it.
Big news, man.
Yeah,
this is huge.
I would say it was big news to me, but I got spoiled for this stuff.
Oh, you're special too.
In more ways than one. None of them good.
You're not quirky. That's what we've determined tonight.
I'm special. That's what it is. We're not quirky. We're special. The men's basketball schedule was announced today.
Road trip?
I don't get to go on the road on either of these. I'm trying on the second one so hard. Maybe I have a contact for my possible new color commentator for volleyball. If I can get them trained by November 3rd. Maybe he could have his first solo game. I talked to Alicia about it on Wednesday. Warriors open up the season on a road trip down to Arizona Friday, October 20th, and then they get to travel to Gonzaga at the Kennel Friday, November 3rd. Unfortunately, it's the final weekend of volleyball as well.
You know where we'll be.
So we will most likely be over there. I'll be here Saturday. I'll go to Spokane on Friday, Alicia. It'll be great. If you want to see the entire men's basketball schedule, go to lcwarriors.com. I'm sure the women are soon to follow.
With that being said, I told Katie, I said, I'm only going to be missing 3 games PA announcing. So I don't think Katie would like that I'd miss.
No, more. Don't mess it up. But I have an understudy that I gotta quickly train. Another sport that I can play, another little fun little thing.
All right.
I play golf. I'm not good at golf. I never got good. I never got a hole-in-one, but I did hit a guy, and that's way more satisfying. You're supposed to yell 4, but I was too busy mumbling. There ain't no way that's going to hit him.
I love Mitch Hedberg. Rest in peace, sir. Golf got underway this week. It just concluded a couple of hours ago. Worked out perfectly. I was able to get the story wrote up before starting the show, but they were at the Oregon Tech Fall Invitational at the Running Y Ranch Golf Course. British Columbia is insane. Absolutely insane. So the women for British Columbia have won back-to-back national titles, and they're off to their same ways. The men won the national title last year and continue to dominate. But congratulations to Kyla Curry for finishing in 9th place, and Dina Caruso, who finished in a tie for 10th in that season opening event. Women finished in 3rd, men finished in 4th place. But again, British Columbia, I just have to throw this out there. The Thunderbird women won by 37 strokes in a 2-round event. The men in a 3-round event won by 41 strokes. Just insane. I want to say the top 4 women were all from British Columbia, and the top 3 men were all Thunderbirds. So that team is just insane. Volleyball was on the road last week, and we knew it was going to be a tough one as they were starting to get into the topper part of the Cascade Conference, and it was a tough one for them. They get swept by both Oregon Tech and the 19th team in the nation, Southern Oregon. They return here to the P1FCU Activity Center this weekend. But the schedule does not get any easier. They play the 5th team in the country, Corbin, on Friday at 6 p.m. and then Bushnell on Saturday at 5 p.m. Come out, support the Warrior volleyball team. They continue to have really good crowds, but they could use more support. We talked to Katie after every single home game, and the one thing she talks about is that team feeds off the energy of the crowd feeds off the energy of the team, and it really helps LC as they continue to grow this new program. And I did not put it in the notes, but Kenzie Dean now top 5 all time in career digs for the Warriors as she continues to move up that all-time list.
Yeah, and with that, when you come and watch these guys play Friday, it's a huge one. Red Rush, wear anything red.
Yes,
man. Red LC gear. Make sure you red out the gym. So looking forward to it.
So I will bring yellow just to be different. because that's what I do. All right, let's get into a fun topic. Let's get back into the National Football League for a little bit. And the struggles of some teams with Joe Burrow and Patrick. Well, I wouldn't say Patrick Mahomes really struggled. It was the receivers that struggled to catch a ball.
How many did Robert tell you after the
It was like
game? We were
14, he says,
bowling.
but again, it was a fan probably counting. I don't think the official drops were as many, but there was a lot of drops for Kansas City in that game against Detroit. So we had some interesting week 1 games, but I want to focus on the rookies.
Okay.
And we're going to go position by position, and I want you to tell me who had the better performances. So, of course, we're going to start with the quarterbacks because all of them were drafted at the beginning or at the top of the draft. 3 rookies started this week. Bryce Young went up against Alabama. It was 20 of 38 for 146 yards, a touchdown and 2 interceptions. C.J. Stroud, you got to watch as he took on the Baltimore Ravens, went 28 of 44 for 242. He did lose 1 fumble. And Anthony Richardson against Eric's Jacksonville Jaguars, 24 of 37 for 223, a touchdown and interception. He also rushed for 40 yards and had a rushing touchdown. Who impressed you the most? Not just from stats, but just from what you've been able to see so far.
I didn't get a chance the way the TVs were set up to watch much of it. I didn't get to see how Bryce Young really played. But to watch Anthony Richards and C.J. Stroud really play, I think C.J. is on that upward trajectory. He needs, I think he needs one more weapon. I think he really needs another receiver to make that work really well. Richard is that guy that we thought he was, and he's still raw.
Yeah,
and it's going to have to get some runs in, but he looked great running the ball when he had to. Did take 1 shot that I did see him get hit, but if I had to rank those 3 right there, just in what I saw, I probably would put Richardson 1, Stroud 2, and Young 3.
I think I'll agree with you there. Richardson was the one I was really impressed with. Like you said, he's raw and he's going to make mistakes, and I don't think that Indianapolis is going to contend by any means this year. I actually had a tough time moving them up in my power rankings. I mean, they did lose to Jacksonville, but I wanted to move them up because I like what I'm seeing from them, especially if they can get Jonathan Taylor back healthy and happy come week 5, and that would really help Richardson too. My big takeaway from it, and I didn't really get to watch a lot of live football on Sunday. It was a lot of highlight watching on Sunday night, Monday morning. But Richardson did not find Michael Pittman the entire first half. And then Pittman ended up with like 8 receptions. So if that becomes a fantastic combination, I think that will be good for the rookie. So I will agree with you that Richardson had the best debut out of the quarterbacks.
I moved Indy up 2 spots. That was it.
I think I moved them up 1
that was it,
myself.
2 spots.
Before we get to the other positions, it is the bottom of the hour. So once again, we want to give some love to LCWR for allowing us to stream on their website as well. So again, if you're getting tired of looking at our ugly mugs, or you're just out and about and you want to listen live on your phone or on any other streaming service, go to lcwarriorradio.com. At some point, maybe we'll turn this into a podcast and we'll post it somewhere, but I'm not that technically sound.
I've been asked a few times, well, where can I, are you guys on Spotify? So maybe we need to think about
learn how to do any of that. Usually in all the podcasts I've ever done, I just get on, I talk, I ramble, and then we get off, and either Eric or Sean Garmer or another buddy of mine, Jens Dietrich, will take the file, and then they do all the work. And I don't know how to do any of that other stuff. We hit stop and my job is done. So I don't know how to do the other stuff. But yes, definitely check out lcwarriorradio.com. Lots of fantastic programming there, both sports talk radio. There's a couple other shows like that, some good music as well. Also, if you're listening to the stream and you want to interact with this show, go to our Facebook or YouTube pages at R&R Sports Report and comment live, as many of these other people have been doing. Makes the show a lot more fun. And we get to even the people, kind of banter back and forth. Even those that are picking on me. I
was going to say, even though the people that picked you to win the quirkiest MLB,
they only picked me for 1 because I was right, and 2 they feel bad that my dreams were crushed in 4 place. Running backs, not a ton that I put on the list, but Bijan Robinson kind of was in a little bit of a combo for Atlanta. Justin Algier had a really, really good day as well. But Robinson, 10 carries, 56 yards. Also had 6 catches on 6 targets, which was big, 27 yards and a touchdown. Jahmyr Gibbs, also kind of in a committee backfield as they try to work him in a little bit. He looked really good against Kansas City, 7 carries for 42 yards. Who were you more impressed with?
Well, you hit it on the head. Both of these ball clubs had other guys running the ball. Montgomery looked quite well, 21 of the carries. So Gibbs had a few taken away there. But watching both of them, I think, and listening to Dan Campbell talk about Gibbs and reading what ESPN had wrote about him and all that, he did what they asked him to do. And he's looking like that. But on the other hand, let's talk about Robinson.
Okay.
The way that this kid moves and jukes in the field, unbelievable. Just on his one touchdown run that he had 3 jukes and made guys miss, and he just walked in. And it just crazy what this kid can do. And he led the NCAA last year with the most moves and that. So I'm looking forward to watching Robinson. I think right now I'd have to list Robinson 1, Gibbs 2.
I think I will too. Just we have to see a little bit more from both of these two teams. I don't blame either team for easing both of the rookie running backs in. We saw that with the Jets and Breece Hall last year, but also it didn't work because Breece Hall still tore his ACL 6 weeks in. So obviously they're trying to build them up a little bit. We'll see where they go, but a decent first weeks for both of those running backs. Wide receivers, you had some really good ones this week. Jackson Smith and Jigba for the Seattle Seahawks had 3 receptions on 5 targets just for 13 yards. Is it Puka Nacua for the Rams against Seattle? How about 10 receptions for 119 yards on 15 targets? Obviously, no Cooper Kupp there for the Rams. Stafford was throwing it all over the place, and that rookie was all over the place. Rashee Rice, who was a big name that Robert Taylor was big on coming into the year, 3 receptions for 29 yards on 5 targets. He did have 1 touchdown. And then your boy, Zay Flowers, the rookie for the Baltimore Ravens against Houston, had 9 receptions on 10 targets for 78 yards. He had 10 targets of the 22 pass attempts that Lamar Jackson threw.
And Lamar only completed 17 of them.
That is true, but 9 of 10 to Zay. Odell Beckham Jr. was somebody that everyone was really high on. He really didn't do much in that game. It was Zay Flowers all the time for Baltimore. So to me, that he was the most impressive, just for the fact that he has that much trust from Lamar already, where he's getting nearly half of the looks, and he's the main guy that's bringing them all in. As you said, how many of the incompletions went to other receivers?
Yeah, and you said that 3 attempts to Odell. He got his 2 of 3. Bateman got his 3 of 3. But no Mark Andrews. That's
right. That's a big one too.
But Zay Flowers was working out a lot with him. I think it's coming down to get that routine and everything with this game. I was very shocked that Smith and
Jigba,
that he even played, because he was hurt in the preseason. So for getting 3 receptions, but we're talking about Geno.
Getting a little feel.
Yeah, so we're talking about Geno. I think you're right. Between him and Nacua looked great too. But he was laying out for Stafford. Some of the passes he was catching, unbelievable. But not to sound a homer, but I'm going to take Zay Flowers.
Yeah, I can't blame you. He obviously, numbers-wise, has the best day. He's looked the most impressive going in. So I definitely cannot blame you there, as much as I would love to make fun of you. I'm trying to remember the other receiver for the Rams. My internet is horrendous. Tutu Atwell had a fantastic day. He's not a rookie, but he also had a really, really good day for the Rams, who kind of beat up on the Seahawks and made a lot of Seahawks fans like Chris, like I think he said it in our chat, put him 29th in his first power rankings. He was really low on the Seahawks. Defensively, Jalen Carter had a sack against New England. Keanu Benton had 3 tackles, with one of them being solo against San Francisco. And Will Anderson Jr. against your Ravens had 6 tackles, 4 of those were solo, and he had a sack as well.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll just throw it in there with the defense and special teams. Xavier Gipson for the New York Jets against the Buffalo Bills, game-winning punt return in overtime to give the Jets a 1-0 record out of those 4 who had the most impressive day.
You know, the Eagles defense looked really good. Jalen Carter is going to be special, but
Yes,
watching Will Anderson put pressure on Lamar and what he did, he's going to be special. But I'm gonna go with Anderson. He just looked a lot better against.
And that's the one
team.
that you got to see the most. I'd love to give it to Gibson just because what an awesome moment. Again, if you watch Hard Knocks, you just root for this kid. But yes, it is just 1 sack for Jalen Carter. But as a Jets fan, I can tell you right now, it is so important to have just numbers on the defensive line. The fact that the Jets basically have a rotation of 2 different defensive lines that they can rotate in is important. So Jalen Carter may not get the numbers right now, but he's a big cog already for a very, very good defense in Philadelphia.
Yeah. And noticing and watching what some of these teams did this weekend defensively, I think we're going to be talking a lot of defense all season this year as they're just getting better and better coming out of college.
All right, let's get to our football pick'em. And one thing I did not put on here, I'll get to it in a second. So let me work through the internet here. But last week, I crushed you.
I don't know about crushing, but
I crushed you. I went 6-4 in high school, 7-3 in college, 13-7 for the week. You were an even 10-10, 4-6 in high school, 6-4
you got a
in college.
You got a 3-game.
Well, yeah, we were even the week before. So I'm 19-11 overall. You are 16-14. I cannot get this to load. This is so fun. What is the Thursday night football game for the NFL since the internet refuses to work for me? Because we didn't need to make that pick official.
It doesn't want to work for you. Well,
No.
it's one of the most anticipated games of the week. That's the Minnesota Vikings in Philadelphia taking on the Eagles.
Give me the Eagles.
Yeah, as much as I want the Vikings to win that NFC North, I have to take Philadelphia and Jalen Hurts.
For sure. And you know what? Just because it worked so well for me last week, will you put the Vikings down as my loser pick, please? I'll just keep going with their road team on Thursday nights because it worked so well last week with Detroit. We will continue. All right. So you can get the rest of our NFL picks. They will get posted on Thursday morning. We turn ours in on Wednesday, and then Robert will post those. These picks we're about to get to will be on the website tomorrow. Again, go ahead and interact. I apologize. I know Chris was really excited to get in on this, and I saw 4 or 5 different people put their picks on the NFL. I have not had time to tally those up. I still have to go get the stuff for our bowling league and tally those up. They got stuck at work. So I will apologize. I will do a better job of keeping track of how everyone is doing, and we'll talk about that on the show. Same thing with high school and college. If you're in the area or if you just want to do college, for those like Eric or Harry when he's on, and you want to
make those guys do the local ones too.
Sure. Randomly pick stuff.
You can
That's
look
fine.
up Max Preps and see how these guys are doing and follow.
But when we post, put them in the comments. Again, I apologize for not having them this week.
Okay.
But
You're forgiven.
We will get those up there and we'll have things ready to go. Let's get into our picks this week. 10 high school. 10 college. Let's try to speed through them a little bit because, as always, we are slightly behind schedule.
Not us.
On your marks, get set.
No, I said, are you ready?
With that being said,
I need buttons for background music, by the way, but go ahead.
You've influenced my wife enough now that she now brought up the term Friday or Saturday night for me to acknowledge her. I'm like, really? We're the ones? All right, acknowledge me.
Yeah.
Really? I'm like, my wife is getting into this. All right, Seth. All right.
I said we got to hurry, and then we're just over here messing with buttons. All right. East Valley is taking on the Clarkston Bantams. Home game, first home game for Clarkston. Give me the Bantams.
First home game again. 100% Clarkson takes this one quite easily.
Pendleton of Oregon is traveling over here to Lewiston to take on the Bengals. Pendleton looks like they have a pretty good team just from looking at their stats and what they have done so far this year. Lewiston finally got their first win against Clarkston last week. I just look at it from the Bengals beating them up last year on the road, so I will go with Lewiston.
Woohoo, Buckaroos, as Buckaroos are in town, but too much kitty cats for the Buckaroos.
North Central at Pullman. What?
That game happening?
Oh.
North Central's not that good.
Well, congratulations on taking Pullman. I mean, Pullman is turning their season around and gotten things going. They were able to beat Moscow last week. And like you said, North Central's not that good. No. So there you go. Give us both Pullman. Timberlake at Moscow. Moscow they're so close. They a point away from beating Clarkston 2 weeks ago. They were 15 yards away from at least tying Pullman, though they could have did what they did the week before and tried to go for 2 there.
Right.
They just can't get that win right now. I want them to. I want to see them continue to improve. It just hasn't happened. So give me Timberlake.
Yeah, I'm 100% on board with you on that one. So give me Timberlake.
Potlatch at Deary. Potlatch really finally is starting to get on a roll. They beat Prairie by 42 points. I think maybe not as big of a blowout against Deary, but I think the Loggers have this one.
Deary's good, but not as good as this.
I think Potlatch is pretty good.
Potlatch could be your state champion. Give me Potlatch.
Lakeland at Coeur d'Alene. A 4A, 5A matchup is pretty fun. We talked about Lakeland over the last couple of weeks and how good their defense has been. Coeur d'Alene, just as good of a defense. They lost to a team from Southern Idaho in a really close game. They've had some low-scoring games as well. Give me the Vikings in this one.
You said it's close. Lakeland is playing quite well. 4A school, taking on a bigger school, same kind of scenario. I'm going to go for an upset. I know the Vikings are stacked. I know that they always have been. But I think Lakeland's going to pull this one out on the road.
That would be no. Yeah, Lakeland is on the road. You're right. Soton is also on the road. They take on Manson, who I've never heard of.
Where's Manson?
I don't know, but looking at their stats, they have a really good team. I hemmed and hawed with this one about taking Manson against the Panthers, but I went against Soton in the first week of these pick'ems, and it bit me in the butt, and I'm not doing it again until they lose a game. So give me a Soton.
Yeah, I think I'm going to take Soton quite well. Ellis Boy has looked really good. I think he's going to do great things for them.
Next up, Charlo, another school I've never heard of, but that's what happens when you get into small school Washington. Charlo takes on Pomeroy. Pomeroy is really good at home. They always have the size for that small school feel. So give me the Pirates.
Yeah, I'm going to take the Pirates also.
Somebody has to win. Kellogg and St. Mary's are both winless on the year. I will go with the home team. Give me St. Mary's.
Yeah, the home team all the way. St. Mary's is going to be I think they're going to take. I think Kellogg is really down because they've lost both of those boys. Ty Graham and I talked about that a couple of weeks ago. Lost both of those guys to Florida or to Miami.
Somewhere in Florida. It might have been Miami.
And I think they're just going to struggle this year.
And then finally for high school, Clearwater Valley looking for their first win against Lapwai, who is struggling this year. They're kind of down on their roster this season. Give me Clearwater Valley to finally get their win. The Rams are too good to stay winless.
Yeah, CVH is going to be extremely tough. I think they take and handle Lapwai quite well.
All right.
Manson is just north of Wenatchee on the part of Lake Chelan area. So long trip away.
Who knew? All right, let's get into some college picks and get some random ones on these extra days. Give you something to watch, I guess.
When does MAC start?
In a couple weeks. We're a couple weeks away from MAC action, and it would make our pick-em so much more fun and make us watch the MAC a lot. How about WSU and Oregon State go to the MAC just so we can watch WSU on Tuesdays? That'd be great. Thursday night, Navy is at Memphis, who's a 14.5-point favorite, so give me Memphis. But it was a Thursday game. I had to put it on here.
As much as Navy likes to run the ball out of that special offense and throw the ball just a couple of I'm going to take Memphis all day.
Utah State absolutely destroyed Idaho State last week, but now they're on the road at Air Force, who's nearly a 10-point favorite. I was tempted to take the Aggies. as a big upset. I will not. Give me Air Force.
I'm taking Air Force, and you said it just a second ago. They played Idaho State. Idaho State
is no good.
No good. So Utah State should have won that game. I'm going Air Force with this one.
Some really fun ones with ranked teams going on the road.
Okay.
Number 14, LSU, who bounced back against a nobody after, what was it, Florida State they lost to that first week. They're a 9.5-point favorite on the road at Mississippi State. Who do you got?
I'm going to take LSU, and I have to, just because if I don't, I'll be sleeping on the couch.
They need to play a harder opponent so I can keep sneaking wins against you, because you just refuse to not take them. But I will also take LSU. They really need to get the season turned around after that tough first win. I don't know if Kevin is still around, but number 8, Washington, is a 16-point favorite on the road against an undefeated Michigan State team. Obviously, Michigan State has not really played anybody yet, but Phoenix Jr. looks really good. Give me Washington.
Yeah, I think too much quarterback for this team, and I think they can come up with a big win.
I'm surprised to not see Harry after he watched NXT and can never join our first hour, but I think he's still salty that Zach Wilson once again beat the Buffalo Bills. Just saying. But number 11, Tennessee, is a 6.5-point favorite on the road at Florida. Florida lost to Utah on the road to start the year. We're able to get a win last week. Give me the Gators.
There you go. Not to mention Sparty's dealing with some
That's
issues.
true. That is also true.
You're taking the Orange Gators. Give me the
Gators.
Yeah, give me Tennessee. We're going to take, that's our first different for college. Give me the Vols. I think Vols on the road, even though going into Gatorland, it's going to be interesting.
And then some weird ones. I meant to research a bit more, but my day got busy. So it's random city for me. New Mexico State at New Mexico. 1-point favorite is New Mexico at home. Give me New Mexico, not the state.
I'm going to take State, just where we're different.
Fresno State is a 3-point favorite at Arizona State. I forgot to look at the time of this game, but you got to think it's like 9 p.m. because it's Pac-12 after dark. Give me Arizona State.
Yeah, I'm going to go with a little bit of, I think, the favoritism. I'm going to take Fresno on the road.
Syracuse is a 2.5-point favorite on the road at Purdue. I can't tell you anything about these two teams. I apologize. I did not get this far in my notes. Give me Syracuse for fun.
I think the Boilermakers at home. Give me them at home.
And finally, Pittsburgh, a 1-point favorite at West Virginia. Give me Pittsburgh.
Well, we've got one more after this, but I'm going to take the home team, West Virginia.
What else do we have?
You missed Idaho and Cal.
Oh, I skipped right over. It's at the bottom of that top page. You are right. Idaho at California. Idaho got the big win against Nevada, even though Nevada is kind of stinky. California, not as stinky. Idaho is fun.
Yes, very much. I want to get some tickets.
Gerald McCoy, or is it Gerald? McCoy is the last name for the quarterback, but he looks really good. They've got some weapons on offense. I would love to take the Vandals as the upset here, but I cannot do it. Give me California.
Yeah, no spread here. Is you get a Pac-12 against Big Sky team. As Idaho has played well, I want to take him, but I'm going to go Cal.
There you go. We got one different in high school. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different in college. That'll be a ton of fun. Aussie rule football time now. We got through the first round of the finals. We are down to 6 teams as we lost St. Kilda, who got crushed by GWS 101-77. And we lost Sydney, who lost to Carleton 74-68. That game came down to the wire. That one was a lot of fun. Melbourne tried to make the comeback against Collingwood. They were unable to do so. Collingwood won that game 60-53. And the other game on the docket was Brisbane taking out Port Adelaide 123-75. So I went 3-1 in my picks last week. Robert went 2-2. So I was able to take all of it. Eric still believes Brisbane is going to take the flag. Eric, I would like your picks during this section as well, but it is now semifinal week. Or is it? I forget what they call this section.
They called it semifinal, at least on AFL.
It's semifinal, then preliminary final, then grand final, I think is how Aussie rules football. There you go. Eric is 4-0. So I mean, he is one game better than me, and he's crushing you. We got 2 games on the docket. Both of them are DVR central. Just the way the timing works out over there in Australia, but we'll be watching it the day after. Friday at 2:50 a.m. Yeah, semifinal, preliminary final. There you go. Okay, 2:50 a.m. Friday. 4 seed Melbourne versus the 5th seed Carleton. All games from now on, you lose and you're out. We got no more extra benefit here. Carleton looked good. Melbourne lost a really tough game against the top seed. On paper, Melbourne's probably better, but I just don't think they're going in the right direction. So give me Carleton.
The Blues have played so well over the last 2 months. How do you go against the Blues? Give me Carleton.
And finally, Saturday at 2:40 a.m. Pacific time, you have the 3 seed Port Adelaide versus the 7th seed GWS. Now, while Melbourne and Carleton both played close matchups, these 2 teams were both kind of involved in more blowout style games. Port Adelaide on the losing side, GWS on the winning side. Who do you got?
I am going to do the same kind of thing. I think GWS has just played a lot better over the last few weeks. Give me the Giants. Give me the Giants.
I thought about it, and it's close to me. I don't think Port Adelaide is as bad as they played last week. I think they survived. I can't see both teams that were on the bottom 4 making it through. So give me Port Adelaide. Eric over here picking Melbourne and Port Adelaide. So slightly different than both of us. He is completely opposite of you in both. So either he's going to pull away or you're going to be tied with him. Maybe. Or some kind of a mix of the two, I guess, if you really want to get technical. So there you go. Those are your Aussie rules football picks. One last look at the standings before, or not standings, the scoreboard before we get on out of here. Oakland did hold on to beat the Houston Astros 6-2. So that will help the Mariners. Where did the Yankees score go? It disappeared. Yankees were able to get a small sweep of Boston here in this doubleheader. They won the second game 4-1. Going on right now, Kansas City holds an 11-9 lead over the White Sox. That one's in the 9th inning. Colorado's up 5-4 over the Cubs in the bottom of the 7th. Seattle is all over the Angels right now, 7-0. Bottom of the 4th inning. Looking at those stats real quick, 7 of the 9 hitters for Seattle have already gotten hit. That's pretty decent. Guardians and the Giants all tied at 1, bottom of the 5th, and the Dodgers already with a 3-0 lead over those Padres that, man, I really wish would have worked. They need to work offensively because they are very much a cornerstone of my fantasy baseball team. I go where they go. So there you go. That is where we're at on the scoreboard. And just real quick, Sunday, we've talked about a bunch of the college football games that we want to watch, and that's why we put them in to pick them. Some just are fun as far as close spreads go. We weren't going to put WSU out there because they weren't playing anybody, and they were going to blow them out, hopefully. But look at the NFL slate. Now that I've got the internet to work well enough so I can pull it up. What games are you really looking forward to this week? Obviously, for you, I think Baltimore and Cincinnati's got to be top of the list, but what else?
Yeah, I mean, you've got that game, whether or not what happens. Which team are we going to see? Is it going to be the Joe Burrow that we know or what? But you look at the other ones, for me, how do the Bills bounce back against the Raiders? I mean, that's one. The other, for me, I think is a huge one is, as much as you want to know, I want to see if Derrick Henry can have a huge game against that defense of the Chargers and Bosa.
Yeah. That could be interesting. Both of those teams really would like to finally get their first win after tough losses last week. It's an interesting slate this week, actually, just kind of looking through it. Like nothing super jumps out. Kansas City and Jacksonville, I think, could be a lot of fun. Kansas City 0-1 on the year. Can the Jaguars make them start 0-2? Does Kelsey play in that game? It'll be really interesting. I like the 2 Monday night games. And I like that I only have to watch the Saints and Panthers for a little bit, and then I can just move off of it because I'm much more interested in the Browns-Steelers game. But it is cool that we have 2 of them, and you can flip back and forth. I think we should always have 2 Monday night games exactly like this, so you can flip back and forth.
Yeah, it'll be interesting, but I don't. Neither one of those really interest me. I think
the Browns Steelers do not interest you. That's a good rivalry.
I know it's a rivalry game. It's a division game, but I think Pittsburgh's got to play better with this one. So
yeah, Chris Jones getting that 1-year deal, so definitely helps Kansas City too.
And I thought you were going to take it, so I didn't say it. But I think your game.
I cannot get rid of this thing. There we go.
Team is going to be.
It would have been. It would have been so awesome.
I want to know what your team does.
Me too.
I think that's the biggest thing for us. And it's Tuesday. Everything happens to us as soon as we sign off Tuesday night or Wednesday morning.
So you think tomorrow the Jets will sign a quarterback or something?
Something will happen.
I was super excited for this matchup, thinking Aaron Rodgers going up against Dallas. Obviously not the case. We'll see what happens there. I will just tell you right now, you will see my on Thursday. I will not take the Jets.
Yeah, and
it's disappointing.
Chris and Eric both talked about it.
He just visited
Kansas City, Jacksonville.
a special secret client.
Chris Jones finally signed the contract. Is it bad enough that he watched them get beat?
And you know what? We bowl during the Sunday Night Football, so we don't watch it as closely. But can the Dolphins' offense continue to be that good against a Patriots defense that knows them well, and it's a really stout side of the ball for New England? That could be a good one too. We'll talk about all of those games and so much more next week on the show. Just another quick reminder that if you are in the area, LCSC volleyball is here at home at the
Jets showed us
Activity
why
Center.
it was a mistake.
Friday at 6 p.m. and Saturday at 5
because
p.m.
they showed the world they have a Super Bowl caliber defense, and
this
2
weekend.
of the best
Both Clarkston
young
and
playmakers
Lewiston
in the
are
entire
at
NFL.
home on Friday.
They cannot afford to waste
so you can
another
go watch
season.
Football action
the one thing they can't
as
have
well.
At quarterback
next week or
is someone who
tomorrow,
turns over
we'll
the
have
football and is a negative for the team. They need a caretaker.
So play
Zach
along
Wilson,
with
since
us.
coming to the
The rest of our
NFL, has the second highest interception rate in football. Last night he threw one of the worst interceptions I've seen him throw. The idea that he's progressed was immediately undercut by what he did on the field. I know in a tough situation. Since coming into the NFL, he has been the worst quarterback league-wide in EPA per play.
His take on some other stuff. So I always appreciate all the help that we've been able to get from everybody. We are 2 episodes away now.
But I believe there's probably 4 or 5 backups
who
are better than Zach Wilson.
48.
Who
Crazy to think that we have not been kicked out of here
role
yet.
That they need.
But it's been
a name
close
that comes to mind for me.
They say it's technical difficulties, but I just think they're trying to get us out of here.
Now I don't know how much Washington would require to part ways with him. The Jets have a couple 4th rounders and
over the next week.
If third,
not,
I think Washington should absolutely consider that if that's on the table because that's
people
quite the return
playing a
for a
piano out here.
But
even though there's signs that say that if our red light is on, please don't. But nobody
because if you just roll with Wilson, your season
that's what we get
going
serenaded to for the hour that we're here getting set up for this show. But there you go, another episode in the books. We'll be back next Tuesday. But until then, that's Robert. I'm Randy. This is the R&R Sports Report. And until next Tuesday, we are out.
Let me tell